What's up, suckers? Today we're actually going to take a break from our normal videos and kind of, instead of breaking down the hour-long video, we are going to talk about a different succulent. Not this guy. The audience loves you. I'm actually going to break down one of the pots of succulents that I have, which I talked about I guess not a couple months ago, a while back, being the mother of millions. And I'm going to talk about the fertilization of the soil and then how to get them to be a little too happy and put off way too many babies. So let's go do that. How's that sound? Alright, let's go. Alrighty. So I've got it up to the side here. You're going to be at a different angle because of kind of the way I have things currently set up. So I have two pots that I'm just going to break down the smallest succulents that are in the mother of millions. I did finally find my pitcher of water for my plants, and of course it's exactly where I left it, so sorry. Alrighty, both of these, for this instance, well, that's a tag, but both of these pots happen to have drainage, so no big deal. And again, I've got my super trusty succulent soil here. I'll top off both pots as just due to the size of the succulents here. One pot needs a little bit more. Oops. And then of course I have a third pot if I need it. So, cool thing about Mother Millions, just simply that technically in the plant sense, they can't die. Now, that's not to say that the mother plant can't die. There's a lot of dead as I speak. It's not to say that the actual mother plant itself can't die, because obviously you can have leaves completely shrivel up. It's useless to you. You can't even propagate it at that point. But the really cool thing is that each of these leaves, and we're going to move it over. I apologize for staring at a pot. But each of these leaves that you see here have these little props that stick straight up. And then as they mature, or it comes time, each of these little divots are going to create babies, and then those babies will create more babies, and then so on and so forth. So then you get something like this. So you've got your parent plant, sibling plant, and then their first generation of offspring, your second generation of offspring, your third generation of offspring, your fourth generation of offspring, the tiniest leaf right here, the fifth generation of offspring. And it's just kind of never ending. This whole pot is actually full of these particular succulents, but you wouldn't know it just at first glance. So I'm actually going to pull out a couple succulents and then put them in this pot here, the two pots I have separated, and kind of show you. This particular mother of millions that I have has actually its first generation of babies in a different plate. It's basically the plate that goes underneath your normal pots when you go to the store. But in this instance, for what you see in the pot, I just kind of labeled things first, second, third. But it does carry on a lot for a very long time. I'm going to use my bare hands to poke a couple holes in here, and I'm not going to empty the whole pot of all the offspring, just simply because, like I stated, I have a completely different dish. If I can get to it, I will show. If not, it will be I'll have a picture of it either right now or momentarily, or as the cover photo. I have to have rocks to prop up my phone, dang. See if you can see quite the height. Now, interesting thing with these guys is that These do enjoy tracking the sun, so a couple of these are corkscrewed on themselves, just simply for the reason because when I transplanted it the first time to put it in this pot, I ended up putting it slightly in a more shaded area, and they don't like that much shade, and so it automatically just started rotating and spiraling and corkscrewing, just trying to get more sun for it. So I'm only going to pull out the 3 tallest ones. Quick note, if you happen to have a mother or find a mother of thousands or millions, do not store it or house it with another succulent. The reason being, this grows like a weed, and you will outsource any other succulent you have in your pot, and they will choke out the other succulent. And I definitely will admit that when I first bought my first mother of millions, it is a single stock, and this is the offspring. And then the mother of millions that's currently in the pot solo has offspring with her. So you're actually, the particular succulent I'm using is actually 3rd generation from the what I previously bought as 1st generation. I'll pull her out to show you. So she's a little bit different in that currently she's actually dormant, but each of these little props right here are new plants, and they're falling into this pot, and the pot, I have a little skull head rolling around, is full of her babies, and these ones are coming up pure green. These ones are a little bit browner. They will change color based on where they are in the sun. So I will eventually get to that pot. The reason I'm not starting with that pot is because there's currently 3 different types of succulents that have fallen into it after the windstorm, and I've decided to just kind of let them continue to prop. One of them is just a leaf, one of them is an actual start. With the way that the soil is and the agreement that they all currently have, I don't feel the need to quite pull them out yet, because either one of them doesn't have roots like the leaf, but it is sprouting babies, or the other one that does have a root, I'm trying to get the roots to really take off, just simply because when I did find them, they looked like they were struggling. And so if I have already established soil, I feel confident it will continue to grow. So this is where we're going to start, just the 3. They are, pardon me friend, they are sibling plants, but I don't want to overload them. Again, once these get big enough, they'll start propping, those babies will fall. I will obviously have to transplant, but I'll end up with more babies, more babies, more babies. Eventually, I should be able to turn around and actually sell them. Eventually. That is the idea. And I don't want it in full sun, but I certainly don't want to cover it up, just because I want to pay attention to who I'm propping and rotating. I do have a succulent that needs help currently, so I'm actually going to move it to the shade. That way I have more room for this tiny pot. Now we're going to use this guy, very small. I'm going to use my pinky just to poke a couple holes, and then I'm just simply going to pick up some of these smaller gens and just transplant them. I'll put a few more than 3 in this pot just because of their size, their minuscule size. But again, like I said, once they get big enough, they will prop. I'll have to rotate plants into different pots, as I usually do, as I usually make a video about, and then kind of provide a discussion of why and where and how. This guy definitely has a baby right on top here, but I'm going to put it in here anyways, just as long as I get that root officially covered. I'm going to put a few smaller ones in here just to see the success of this soil, because they will definitely take off. And I'm going to just say, I'm just going to grab 2, but it's going to give me a whole bunch of soil. This soil is wet. The soil I'm currently working with is dry, so we're kind of utilizing different mediums here. I've already got a cat trying to escape. Gremlin, not right now. This cat gets himself in trouble so often. I'm telling you. Okay, here we go. And we've got a few third, first, well, technically at this point they'd be 12th, 13th, 14th. So many generations in this guy. But yeah, so I'm just going to kind of play around with some sizing here, see how fast these take off in this pot, see how fast these take off in this pot. Pay attention to my different growth regions, kind of repack my soil, get rid of some dead now that I can actually visually see the ground. Again, I have a few weeds in here, but since this Mother of Million is technically a weed in the succulent world, I'm actually going to leave the weeds in. They're not hurting anything, and she'll more than likely outsource the weeds themselves. So, alrighty, I do see a head and no roots. So I'm actually going to put this in the orange pot with the 3 and let it create its own stalk, and it will obviously take off. And half the time I can't even control it. It's crazy. And then I have to be very careful with this guy because I don't want it breaking my jade. My jade is completely exploded, and I still have yet to figure out what I'm going to do to split it off. Alrighty, so I'm going to take my last pot, wherever my brain put it, and utilize it. Something smells like grapes. Interesting. And utilize it for these guys. Now, another thing that I failed to take care of, specifically with these succulents, is I used to have my trifold stand up against the fence just simply because at the time I had succulents stationed on it that aren't a huge fan of sun. They do want that sun, but I didn't have them sitting directly in sunlight. And then when I started to do my full rotation, right before winter, when I failed to make videos from the period of the last video I made to the very first video of 2022, I had just set her out there. I had intended to go get her, and I just kind of let her sit and sit and sit and sit. And so that's also why she's looking very uniform. She does have a baby right here, so it's still coming off, but in a way, she definitely needs a deeper pot. I did finally pull her forward and put her in a place where she can kind of station herself and take off, you know, regrow, regroup, rejuvenate. But yeah, I've definitely got some roots sticking out the top here. Don't know how, but Santa made an appearance. He's been in my apartment for the longest time, and all of a sudden one day, couldn't find Santa. I guess we found Santa. Oh, poor Santa. I'm on the naughty list now. Okay, I don't even know who to put them with. Here you go. I'll put you with them, because they're growing. They're taking their sweet time, so maybe you can encourage. Alrighty. So, I'm specifically going to start with this guy. This is not a Mother of Millions, but it is kind of growing like a Mother of Millions. Not perfectly, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what this is. Because out of all the succulents that I own, and I own a lot, I don't recognize the leaf type. There's a point here, and then a point here, and then a point here. So technically it's a 5-point, but then at this very base, there's this tiny space right here and here. There's also a baby succulent growing here at the bottom. And so technically it's like a palm, like your hand would sit, but at the same time, the coloration's off. The leaf type is similar to one succulent I can see, but none of those leaves end up looking like this until they completely become large. So it's kind of confusing. So I'm gonna figure this out. I don't know what it is, so I'm gonna figure it out. I am, though, however, going to continue letting her grow on the very top, just as she was in the previous pot. I don't want to shock her and try to bury her or stand her upright, because all the succulent babies that she currently is offshooting are growing in a specific direction, and I don't want to discourage the growth. I'm also going to pull out this succulent that is not a mother of millions, but I believe this is one of my jades. I have several jades. I have so many jades. I have like 4 different kinds. Pretty small. No, definitely not, because it's not a hardy. And the leaves look very similar to the last one. I guess we'll figure it out when it grows up. But it's definitely not a mother of millions because it doesn't have that multiple notch look to it. So this one looks very similar too. Okay, and this one. Alright, so it could be this mother of millions, it could be this offspring, rather than just another. Yeah, because this guy at the leaf base, yeah, see, there's even a hiding guest here. And I want to keep same pot with same pot. If I can get it in there, goodness gracious. And you can hear all the soil falling to the ground from the tray I've currently got you resting on. Yeah, because the base leaves right here are actually pretty round. So it could be this mother of millions offspring. It's actually really hard to tell because of the lobes. This one isn't lobed, that one is lobed. This one needs to go back where I put it. Well, then this could be a mother of millions as well. It's an adventure. That's what I'll say. It's an adventure. We'll figure it out. So we're gonna put the 2. Why aren't you burying? Why are you struggling today? And right now on live video, this is am I embarrassing you? I apologize, but I need you to work. I need you to be buried. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, so I mean, that's where we're gonna start. And I'm gonna keep that guy on the side because that coloration is just so unique. I don't like, the only thing I can think of is it could be that, but even then, we'll put that in the teacup. That way I remember. Alrighty. Well, this stuff is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm gonna put the skull head back inside, Mama. So yeah, I just emptied out literally half her pot, and she'll have more room to grow. Her offspring will eventually grow up, and they'll have more room to grow. This one has a baby on it. But this is completely crunchy, so we're just gonna take it away. Maybe. Where'd it go? Did I drop it completely? If I had to guess, I either dropped it in the pot or it just kind of fell through. Let's hope I dropped it in the pot. Or I'll find it on my phone. I'm not quite sure. I was just trying to pull off the dead leaves here, but then put the props in. There we go. Yeah, because this one definitely has some props coming off, so once she's fully rejuvenated and whatnot, she'll come back and drop more of her offspring. Alrighty. Yeah, this one is a little bit different than that one because this one has striping. Very unique tigress striping on here, and this has a bunch of nodes where its leaves were just as this technically has nodes where the leaves were, but this one's much more spread out, a lot more subtle, and then there's definitely striping on these leaves. So that's how you can tell that these two are related. These are the offspring of the mother, and I'm so excited to see her take off. Very excited. Oh, yep, there's her baby. Good. Okay, made it back in the pot. Still very interesting. I did get rid of a lot of dead materials of the other one. This one is not attached to a root base. Looks like it also rotted away. So we're going to put that in the previous pot. We'll take off the dead material and put it over here. I want to propose an experiment. And there we are. Alrighty. So that's basically a very vague summary of the mother of millions and its life cycle, and the fact that I have still maintained the parent succulent to the 2 offspring succulents that have provided more offsprings and more offsprings. Let's see if I can get to this dish, because I'm actually wanting to put this in a video. If I can get to it. It only slightly drizzled a couple days ago, so it's like misty. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And this one is also housing a couple more different types of succulents that I ended up finding. So obviously these are not mother of millions, but here's one, here's one, here's one. And like I said, these are ones that kind of fell off in the winter storm, so I kind of just housed them all together and I watered them as I see fit, just like with these 2 props. That prop right here. Once these take off, I'll also repot them, and I'm just glad that they finally have root bases. That's all I was waiting for, because after they fell out of that pot, I was considering them dead, but I wanted to give them a chance. So there's my video. There's my mother of millions, and tune in to next video, which I don't know what it's gonna be, but peace out, suckers.